YINSH. What do we think, John?
So this is a mix between checkers and Othello or backgammon.
Right.
Maybe. You have a short game and a long game, but you cannot get distracted by either one because if you're playing the short game, somebody else is going to play the long game and get you.
Right. Well, just like almost every abstract game that has no luck involved, which this game has zero luck except for who the starting player is.
Right.
It usually comes down to a mistake that you did not see,
right,
that the other player exploits. And it could be that the other player set you up for multiple places to have to look in order to not make a mistake. And that is good, good strategy. But at the end of the day, most of these games end with me either seeing something my opponent didn't see or the other way around. And I love that because it's like a singles tennis match or anything where it's my brain versus your brain. Sometimes my brain's up to the task, sometimes it's not. Your long range and short range, like you said, it is definitely part of the game. And at first, because we've played it several times, at first we were thinking long game is not viable, right?
Right.
Yet, in the later games we've been playing, I have noticed that if you can somehow set up your rings, because you're placing one of your colors in a ring and then having to move it, so where empty rings are is the only place you can go. I started to see that there were ways to, even because you're moving sort of like a queen, you go all the way across the board. There are times where if we were concentrating, so our theory was that the edges of the boards set up scenarios where it was impossible for the other player to block, right?
Right. So in this situation, the edges of the board, my intent or my thought is, the edges can never be undone.
Right.
They can never be an issue with that being, okay, well, now a lot of stuff can happen in the middle that I'm not paying attention to.
Well, plus, this is getting you nothing because it's 4.
Right.
And you need 5.
But what that does, so to start the game, I think for a random player assignment, like if we were just to put our rings out randomly, my first thought would be, let's go run to the edges and get them. The block to that is, okay, if I go to the edges every time, your best way to prevent that is to go somewhere like here.
And just start putting stuff in the middle.
But when you put your thing there, then you go to the edge.
Right.
And so not only do I now have the edge, but if you were here, let's say you were here, you can't come back to the edge. You have to stop here. You have to stop. So there are counter moves to that. So now if we start setting up in the middle to where we want to run to the edge, the counter to that is I go to the edge and I claim it.
Right.
So the game has a good balance in terms of there's always something that blocks what the other person is thinking.
And that sets up the possibility that you won't notice what the other player is doing. And I'm starting to think that this row is very important because you actually can complete a 5 down there, and if you've already claimed these, the other player, you can protect it.
Or even if the other player has a chip here,
it's still blocked.
Doesn't matter.
So I think these rows, and I guess something like this, anywhere you can get 5 that's close to the edge is a viable spot to at least concentrate on, seeing if you can sneak one in.
I'll tell you the best scenario is this case for white, because white didn't have to expend any effort going and claiming those edges. If there's some way you can make that happen. So that's the goal, is to find some way to make your opponent expend energy and chips.
Well, yeah, but if somehow you have to try to keep one of your rings on this side so you come back across, and then if you blow this up, this row is now useless because nobody can make the 5.
It's that ring place. So the ring is important. I want to have my rings on the edge so I can always jump over. I can't always have my rings on the edge and especially once you make a row, now I'm down to 4.
Well, that's the other aspect.
And I make another one. Now I'm down to 3, and I've got to be very careful with my moves.
You can play this 10 times in a row, and if you're playing the same opponent, it takes it to a whole other level because you've both You know exactly what the other person has tried to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can then you can counter it, but then I can counter your counter because you think I'm thinking this. So there's what, 5 total rules in the game, if that.
Yeah. So what I would say that the hardest part of this game is not overthinking yourself, but trying to see everything. And that anytime you make a move, my thought is, well, what the hell does he see that I don't see? Oh, why did he do that? Oh, geez, he's got to have some plan. So I've got to stop and pause and try to see. You could just be making a move just for, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to make a move and see what happens. Well, now I've got to overthink everything you've done.
Well, I'm always looking to see where you have 3 or 4 pieces in a row, almost like Connect 4.
Right.
Is like, where's the possible mistake I could be making that I'm not seeing? Well, it's going to be in a place where you have 3 or 4, because if it's where you have 2 or 1, even if I'm making a mistake right now, it's not, impossible to overcome it. As far as aesthetics, I mean, I feel like these pieces the components are very solid. The rings, these are some sort of, I don't know, they're plastic, but they're very sturdy. Ceramic.
Ceramic.
Maybe they are ceramic pieces. The board is the only place where they might have, cut corners as far as quality, because it is a nice cardboard, but this game is screaming for a wooden board or a glass board or something of that nature.
If your box is this big,
right,
this is how big your box is, and all of this fits into a bag that is this size, then the only reason your box is this big is because of the board. So if your board is going to be this big, let's go big and make a nice board.
Right. The game would be more expensive, obviously, so I'm sure they made choices of that nature. But to me, this is the kind of game that I'm going to keep coming back to, because we really could take this one anywhere, especially if you could figure out a way, even if you had a cloth map kind of board that you could fold up and carry would be really, really cool.
It's a good game, a good thinking game, and anytime we go somewhere where, hey, we're going to have 30 minutes to sit around and have some bourbon or a beer and just need to kill some time, this is a good type of game. This, I would say, Barony is a more has more rules to it, but the same type of thought.
Right. It's your mistake or your opponent's superior 2-3 move ahead, strategy that is going to carry the day. It's not going to be a dice roll or something else. And look, I love dice rolls. I play a ton of games like that, but for whatever reason, my abstract, non-thematic games, I want to be mechanically strong and lacking in luck. And especially in a game that takes about 15 minutes to play.
Yeah.
Why would you want anything more than this for that kind of feeling? Because if you do get destroyed because you made a total mistake, which when you watch our playthroughs, you'll see both of us made some fatal flaws, is that now I get a chance to try again. Let's set it up and do it again. And you might beat me 5 in a row, but every single time I thought I had a chance.
There's nothing worse than playing 2 hours and making a slight mistake on the end and everything goes to pot. Like this feels like, even if you got 1 ring and then you got another ring, if you were 2 rings to 0, I'd feel some pressure, but you
still have a chance.
The game still gives me the opportunity to make some quick stuff. I get that. But I feel like if you're punching around your same weight class in this game, you're going to be 2 to 2 and trying to figure out that 3rd ring. Right. How do I make that 3rd ring? That's the way this game's going to go.
This is good mental exercise. It makes me happy. When I'm done, I'm satisfied. And I think on a scale of 1 to great, I think this game is great. I think this is a great game.
Yeah, if it were me, I would give it 5 rings.
Oh, very nice. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, and if you would, subscribe to the channel. That is YINSH.